Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how do you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael. I want to welcome you guys back to another Jaggernaut Podcast. That's right. Victory Monday is what they say, and how sweet it is, especially for me because my wife is an Eagles fan. And I did not know what rivalries really were until we started dating.
You never saw her root for the Jags so hard in your life, have you?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that level.
We missed it too.
I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you missed it, you missed one hell of a game. One hell of an NFL game. I tell you that it was drama packed. The little dog was getting beat down early. He just looked at the bigger dog and said, no more. No more. And slowly but surely, we clawed our way back behind TL, who wasn't perfect. He fumbled. You know, we got to put that out there. He did fumble, but damn, did he not? Yeah, did he not make up for it though? And we've been on the defense, and I've been on Caldwell, and I'm still on Caldwell, and I still believe he might need to be fired. But there's talent here, and these boys are playing with heart.
I think that's a good summary of the defense, actually. There's a lot to discuss about this game, what it means for the Jags and the state of the franchise. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is still maintaining what appears to be an ascension into the ranks of one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's possible he's top 5. I mean, he's definitely top 10. You know, I can't imagine I'd pick more than 5 quarterbacks over Trevor right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's go through them. Who do you pick? Okay, Josh Allen, you go.
Mahomes.
Okay. Hurts.
Herbert.
Burrow.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's
Trevor
a weird
Lawrence.
season too because, you know, normally you'd say Rodgers, right? You'd say Brady.
Yeah, but both of them are not playing. They look like maybe age has caught them. I don't want to say that because you never know, but
yeah. And it's difficult too because I think the way we're talking now is in regards to, you know, if you have to just plan a quarterback on your team, let's say the Jaguars, for this next game, who would you want, you know? I'm not sure I'd want Herbert, honestly, but because, you know, pulling myself out of it, you know, I think he's been more consistent. He's got a better resume than Trevor does so far. So just to be fair, you got to put him above Trevor. But he's in the conversation is the point. I wouldn't put Rodgers or Brady on the team right now, which is weird because, you know, I wouldn't sub Trevor out for either of those two guys. And it goes without saying that, you know, in regards to future NFL, you know, of course you don't do that. So, I mean, it's a way of understanding what I think the Jags now, the enviable situation the Jaguars find themselves in. And I don't know that, I think we touched on this last week, but it feels like we have a firm foundation for, there's only so far we can drop now. Like the old Jags in the past, we struggled to find that quarterback. So every issue that we had was magnified because we never had that. We weren't like the Steelers organizations who, some organizations, the Patriots come to mind, I suppose, maybe not. I don't know. Some organizations you think they're so stable for some reason. It doesn't matter if they put a Tommy Maddox in there. They're going to be an okay team, you know. Whereas the Jaguars, we never have had that stability to fall back on, and we never have had that QB. So now we've got the QB, it appears.
I agree. So you know what that leaves? That leaves running game and that leaves defense. That's really what it leaves. Special teams showed up. You know, they made plays. You know, not obviously they let they let Dallas get a nice run back. It hurt. They converted that into a touchdown. But the kicker made all of his kicks. He made that last kick twice, descended to overtime.
Yep.
So I'm giving special teams a nod.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they played very well. Again, defense. The defense was getting gashed.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say anything other except for there were times where the defense played stout.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma or contrast. It's a very similar game to what we saw last week, in that it felt like we were never going to stop the opponent. And then all of a sudden we began to stop the opponent. And it just happened to have coincided with Trevor taking over the game. And I don't know that those two are not linked, you know, that there's something in regards to the momentum that the quarterback is exuding that is causing the defenders to fly to the football in ways that they otherwise typically don't.
Right. We came away with 3 sacks. Right. We've struggled getting sacks.
Yeah.
So we got 2 turnovers. We've struggled with turnovers. Luckily, in these last 2 games, big games, we've gotten turnovers. So while the defense has been, I don't want to say bending because they've been bending and breaking. They've also made plays.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just completely bash the entire defense because they don't deserve that. And in fact, that walk-off pick six, that's a thing of beauty. Very nice play. You know,
I'm hoping that there's some adjustments being made. Like, you notice that in the first half, Trey Herndon was getting absolutely abused.
So there was some plays in the first half, right, where it was always the CeeDee Lamb. It was almost always CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Now CeeDee Lamb is a bona fide number 1 receiver in this league. He is a very good receiver. He ran away from Herndon quite a bit, but there were a few plays where Herndon was right where he needed to be. It was a great catch. It was a great pass. That's the way it was. So it looks worse than it was. Now, don't get me wrong. There was one, he did an inside slant, and Herndon was about 4 yards behind it.
Yeah.
So there were other, but that's what I think that's what you're going to get from your slot corner, especially against CeeDee Lamb.
Well, what did they do to change that? I mean, I didn't go and look.
Oh, that's it. Oh, they bracketed him. They started double teaming CeeDee Lamb.
This type of defense doesn't exude confidence going into playoff football for me. I think because we are talking playoffs right now, so I mean, I think it makes sense to at least consider the possibility, because there's now a decent chance, that a realistic chance that we have a shot at the playoffs. Got to take it game by game and all that stuff. But so I'm thinking playoffs. Everybody's talking playoffs, and this is not a playoff caliber defense. Now, if they're going to have turnovers and do the things, they have the energy. It's like there's all of a sudden there's this energy spike that happens that has happened in these past 2 games with the defense. I'm not sure why. I mean, obviously, when you make plays, they stack, and then you feel confident. Like, why do the defensive plays start to stack all of a sudden when it's the same players running this basically the same scheme as near as I can tell? So to me, it's an interesting situation. You said something when we started, and when you brought up the defense, you said they're playing, they're talented and they're playing with heart, or something to that effect, as I remember it. And I think that's true. That's one thing that we see is I do think there's talent on the defense. It's just a matter of why is it not cohesive? What is it that is causing the issues that we have? And that's what we've discussed in previous episodes.
If I had to guess, we don't have a superstar. We don't have a lockdown corner per se. We don't have that defensive end that is going to be in the backfield. He may not make the stack, but he's going to be there. We don't have that defensive tackle that you're not going to move. We don't have that. We don't have that linebacker that you're not running away from. You're not going to escape his grasp. He's going to launch and nail your ass. We don't have that. We have good players with a janky scheme, and at times I think they do just enough to cause some issues, and it's in those issues where we get turnovers.
So let me ask this. Let's get back to the positive energy of this game. What if you could encapsulate what you think this win means? What comes to mind? What is it that is there any way to articulate like how you felt afterwards, but also just like what this win sort of does in your mind? Like how does the Jacksonville Jaguars change in your mind? Does it solidify anything? Does it change anything?
Me? No, because you got a 4-day turnaround to go play a Jets team that you should beat. If you want to go apples for apples, or on paper, our roster says that we should beat the Jets. Now, the Jets have a very good defense. So did Dallas. I think Dallas was number 3 coming in, right?
Right.
But their offense, and as far as I know, their starting quarterback, he's hurt. He's not playing. We'll get Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson can make some magic, but he can also mess stuff up. So you're hoping for the bad Zach Wilson, but on paper, we should be able to win this game. The problem is that I'm a 27-year Jags fan. So I've been built up before, only to not have my date show up at the prom.
Yeah. That's always the negative, is that
Does it feel different? I am starting to believe this may be a different team.
That's where I'm heading.
So, yes, I do believe that maybe these guys are not only saying the right things, but they're doing the right things. The play is starting to come together on the field, right? So they talk like they all do, but then we see it on the field. Evan Ingram is a great picture of this. Dude knew he had to get out of bounds.
Yeah.
And he was 3 yards from getting out of bounds. And
dude, he was further than that.
And he said, they're not stopping me. I'm getting out of bounds. And he got out of bounds. It saved our timeout. It allowed us to make one more play to Zay Jones, which put us even in deeper field goal range, which helped.
There's a number of things that happened in that game.
So
looking back, we would have never came away with that victory, that not for those things. And that play was very key play for Evan Ingram.
Yes, and so it is possible that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in fact getting hot.
Yeah,
it is impossible. It is possible.
Well, I think what we're seeing now is after the whole Urban situation, one of the things that everyone knew, and this is why Balky was not liked, because we wanted a complete culture change and he needed to go. In many people's mind, we felt like he needed to go to exemplify this change that needed to take place. And whatever he brought to the table wasn't worth not doing that. But it feels like the change, the culture has changed, and we now have what appears to be a culture that thinks it can win. Like the it doesn't mean like this is the NFL, so we could go to New York and get stomped. Okay. But we appear to be a team now that possibly has taken the Jag funk off. Like we may have now done what Jags fans for decades have been wanting, which is to not continue to. In other words, when we lose from now on, it won't be same old Jags. It'll be something else. It'll be like, dang, we need to do this and adjust this, and as opposed, like other teams do. We are not in a laughing stock anymore. It appears that way. Like, and I think that's real. I think that's actually happened because of Lawrence. I think when you have a stability at quarterback, it can change everything else. So we'll leave that part there, I think. But offensive line jumps out to me. I don't think it's a particularly great group of guys. In fact, going into this offseason, I can think of a number of guys I would like to replace, if I'm being entirely honest. But they're playing really good. This game they played better than normal in the run game. They've been really good in the pass game all season for all the different issues we've seen here. And they're overall,
right. They gave
really
up
good.
A few hits on Trevor Lawrence, and they gave up one sack.
Yeah.
And the sack was a manufactured sack. Like, could it have been done differently? Maybe. But when you know what they were supposed to do, Dallas brought a blitz. And basically, because they brought that blitz, they said the guard and the tackle were going to do this. Michael Parsons is good enough that he knew what they were going to do, and he just ran around them. Once they made their moves, he made his move, ran around them, and sacked Trevor. That's a manufactured blitz. He didn't beat anybody to get that sack. So this vaunted Micah Parsons, he's not vaunted. The Eagles completely shut him down. And outside of that one sack, we shut his ass down too. He had one sack, one tackle, and like an assist.
Well, I think that all that does is back my point. I don't think it's a fair point to say he's not a good player then. Like when he makes plays all the time, and then because you just compared him to what you just did to me was you compared us to one of the best teams in the league, because at least in regards to how we dealt with Micah Parsons. And that's my point, is that for the issues that the offensive line actually does have, and I think this probably has a lot to do with Trevor and Doug helping these guys out.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
I can see that.
They're playing really good, is my point. And that game we watched, because of what you just said, Micah Parsons does affect games all the time. So people go into these games going, we've got to figure out where was his number. He's number 9, I think, right?
Maybe.
I forget his number. But anyway, you gotta find this guy. Where's he at? What side they move him all around. Anytime they got a player like that just moves all around, it's like that's a good player typically. The coaching staff on their side, they have confidence in him to be able to do that. So, and if you can shut him down like you're talking about, then I think that actually makes the point, So that's something that I think as Jag fans, we can kind of put our hat on. Of course, we did lose Cam Robinson though in the process. So,
Any update on his injuries? Because I was looking today. I
no,
saw
he's
nothing.
out. He's out. Cam.
Yeah, like knee, sprained knee.
Meniscus. They said.
Oh, okay, a torn meniscus.
Yeah.
And Jawan
Apparently,
Taylor is a hamstring.
Jawan. Yeah. So, but he played. So maybe that.
Right.
I haven't heard a lot of talk about him, but maybe that's because the Cam injury is season ending, so they don't, maybe not talking too much about Jawan. So we'll get to see Walker Little come in.
Walker Little and see. So here we go. Old Jags, Walker Little's going to be a disappointment. He's going to hurt this team. If this isn't the old Jags, Walker Little comes in and is at least serviceable.
Well, if we're being entirely honest here, Cam Robinson is basically just a serviceable tackle. I know that we signed him like he's this great, and I know he's a great personality. People like him. Maybe there's these intangibles that he brings to the locker room that we can't quite see, that resonate, that are worth the money they're spending on him. I mean, if you watch people who do breakdowns of form and stuff, Cam's still doing stuff that's technically wrong. And, it's like, dude, you've been in the league for a long time. You should have figured this stuff out by now. You should be doing it. If you're getting B, it shouldn't be because your technique is wrong. I mean,
right.
So that's.
All right, my last point here before I move on anyway. Does ETN's fumbling bother you? Because it bothers me.
It bothers me, but I don't think it's something that we can't overcome, and I don't think it's something that's entirely unexpected. What I think of is I wonder if this affects his play. Like, in other words, he has the potential to be a pretty electric player, and I wonder if this, even in plays where he's not fumbling, I wonder, does this make him less electrifying because he's more concerned? That's the way I wonder about ETN. And here's the thing I was thinking about too. I wonder how the Jets are going to deal with the Jaguars. Like, what would I do if I was the Jets? I would, for one, because we talked about the fact that one of the things that we have seen in the past two games is that the Jags have taken advantage when the other teams have messed up. Either they've caused the mess ups or the fumbles, the interceptions, whatever you want to say. They've capitalized on those mistakes the other teams have made. So if I'm Saleh, the coach for the Jets, I'm going in with a bare bones sort of idea. Like, for one, you got Zach Wilson. You don't want him. You don't want the ball in his hand much. So I think they're going to try to grind this thing out, make it a real ugly game. I hear the weather's going to be really crappy. So my thought is we're going to see a lot of runs. And I don't know how this defense is going to stand up to that, They shut the run down pretty good, I would say, overall, against the Cowboys, but I have seen where they have not done that. And I'm curious. I have not followed the Jets. I don't know what they've done. I know James Robinson's on the Jets. Has he got involved in the running game at all? I'm curious to see what happens.
He's been a healthy scratch.
Okay. So that's interesting. So I'd be surprised, or I'd be curious to see what happens with Robinson in this game. Is this a game where all of a sudden you want to? First of all, I would think you'd want a lot of running backs, just strategically, and maybe just the fact that he gets the chance to play against his old team. I wonder if he gets on the roster.
Yeah,
I mean, the depth chart.
It's possible. It's possible. I don't know that I wouldn't put him in there. That way he can give the Jaguars an old FU.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely a chip that somebody would be playing with.
Yeah, and that's crazy too if you think about it, because man, what if they put him in and he has a really good game against us and causes us basically to miss the playoffs? That's gonna be a Jaguar move, right?
That
That's
is
gonna
that's exactly what we do as an
and that'll
organization and
undo
stuff.
everything I just talked about on how not
Yep.
same old Jags, but
But again, fans want Balky gone, right? That's a Balky move. You want Balky gone. I want Caldwell gone. I don't think he's done a good. I don't like his scheme. I don't think his scheme works. That's me personal. That's my opinions based off of what I've seen.
yeah.
So
No, I
is
agree
that
with you, and that's one of the issues that I think moving forward is I'm a little concerned that, after the Detroit Lion loss, I said one of the benefits was, well, we got blown out finally because I saw this coming. Like the defense has been bad for a long time and they haven't made any changes, and it's like it became pretty frustrating. And so I thought, well, maybe this will induce something. And now, I'm not going to trade it because this is great what's happening, but it I'm hopeful that they still take um an introspective look at their defense moving forward, regardless of what happens with the remainder of this season, because they need to make some adjustments. Because this defense isn't going to work. Like what they're doing now, it's just there's some serious issues, and maybe it's what you said. Maybe it's just we don't have a superstar. But I have a hard time thinking that they don't have guys out of position or playing awkward positions that don't quite match what they should be doing, and I think that's the coach.
oh,
So, but
like the
anyway,
touchdown to the tight end when we
yeah.
got
Once
Josh
again, you
Allen
got
as
Josh Allen.
cornerback.
I
Woo!
mean, and Smoot made that one play against Pollard, but it's like, come on, man. And I know it happens sometimes, and the other team gets the chance to force you to make mismatches, but man, I just don't did I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the idea. I again, I feel like Allen's too much in coverage, and every now and again, okay, you're doing like a zone blitz. I guess that's the only thing But we do have him technically as an outside linebacker, so then so this sort of goes to the like, maybe we should be in 4-3. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even saying 3-4, 4-3. I am saying that Trayvon should move inside. Like he's not an outside linebacker. I don't know. For me, it's just like anyway. We could drone on and on, but I feel like we're going to repeat the same thing we did last week. And the truth of the matter is that this is a great victory. It's a great win. And so that's what we should be pointing out. Anything you want to discuss that?
No, I mean I think Dallas came in here and met a team that has some heart, that has some fire in its belly, that said no, we're not going to take this. And that was an effort from offense, from defense, and from special teams. Hell yeah, go Jags.
On that
Nothing else
point,
I can say.
one of the things that I did come away with this game thinking is that, man, you said heart, and I think what's happening is there was a lot of adversity in this season, and in these games there's been this adversity. Like the Titans, it looked like, oh gosh, here we go. Like one point it was like 14-3, and this is Derrick Henry time, and man, this is gonna suck. Scratched and clawed our way back into it and won, and basically went going away score wise. Baltimore did the same thing, and so that builds
Dallas. Yeah.
that builds character. Now here's one thing other people have said, and I do feel like that was the case. With Tennessee, I was shocked every time we kept winning. Like every time they kept going our way, I kept thinking, when's the next shoe gonna fall? Like I'm waiting for that moment,
That Jaguar moment.
the Jag moment, yeah. And it didn't happen in Tennessee. And you can argue a couple moments in the Dallas game it did. Trevor's fumbles, you know, that sort of stuff.
ETN's fumble, the
Right.
interception.
Exactly. But the thing that I kept coming away with was I felt way different in that game. Like I was at ease somehow. If it was like, let's just give Lawrence another shot, we got a possibility of to win this game. And so all of a sudden so between the Titans and the Cowboys game, there was a switch that occurred in me. It seems to be like this with others. I don't know if they had it beforehand and I'm coming late, or maybe others, it's happening at various times where we're transitioning from when's the Jag moment going to happen to now we're going, when's the Trevor moment going to happen, and he's going to win the game for us. That's an interesting thing. That's a cool thing. It's what we've sort of anticipated because last week we said, yeah, he's a franchise guy, and I was it last week? I think I said, yeah, I'm on record now and saying I was completely wrong in thinking I would be shocked he would be a franchise guy. Now I'm going to be shocked if he doesn't continue the momentum. And
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm not sure is regression possible? Sure, it's always possible. My caveat when people bring up regression in Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson. That's my caveat.
So stability for Trevor.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what I think. I think the combination on offense of the coaches and Trevor and our players is a good combination. And I think it is a steady platform to keep firing shots and scoring touchdowns. That's what I think.
That's a great point because that's something we haven't brought up. The play calling yesterday was really good. There was a lot of movement, and this was the thing that I sometimes have noticed on when he's really good, or when the offense seems to be more successful. It appears to me that we're doing more moving around. We're misdirecting. We're doing a lot of different stuff. I think we have to do that with this team. We're not the type of when we're running, we're not the type of team that's going to smash you in the mouth. We're just not. We don't have the horses up front. I just think that's clear. So everything's manufactured. To your point about what the Parsons sack as an example, I think Doug does that on offense. He's manufacturing runs. He's manufacturing guys getting open. Everybody does that. But to me, it leads to, and I've thought this for some time, we talked about the Dallas's defense. You said they were third best in the league, I believe. Mm-hmm. I've got them on my fantasy team, so I know that they're good statistically. Like they score and stuff like that. So when you do that to a defense, it's off-putting. Left and right, things happen. When the defense sees something and then it goes the other direction, I'm telling you, they're half step slower later on. And it leads to you being able to get the corner the next time when it is just a standard sweep, when it is just the standard play. It leads to a little bit more success further on. And I think that's something he was really on point with his play calls. So that's one thing to what you're talking about in regards to stability with Trevor. And regression, he's going to regress in moments. Like that's, he's a young player still. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like continued regression.
Right.
There are going to be little valleys here and there. I mean, that's going to happen. That's not unexpected, and I expect it actually to happen. So when it does, that's not going to be, I don't think I'm going to go back to being fickle about that and say, oh, now he's not franchise. I think I've seen enough now that I know that's just a little bump in the road. So.
All right, Frank, we got the Jets coming up, a 4-day turnaround. We get to go up to Jersey.
It's exciting because, there's some momentum for us and we get to play in front of the lights. Are you worried about us crapping ourselves.
To me, and I hate to do this, but this is another test to me. The old Jags would go out and they would literally shit themselves.
Yeah.
Right in front of the national audience.
Yep.
We can lose this game.
Teal turds all over the
right.
field.
Yep. We could lose this game, but it's in the manner at which we do. If we do it without heart, if we do it without fire, without want, without execution, that's just more teal turds.
Yeah.
If we have all that and something doesn't go our way, well, it was just the Jets' night. So here's what I would like the Jags to roll into New Jersey, and I would like them to win. They don't have to put the smack down on them, but I would really like to see us get out to like a 14-10 halftime lead and then win the game 17-10 or 17-13. You know, where we get out in front, and then we do enough to stay out in front. That's really what I would like to see.
Yeah. I think my expectation is we won't crap ourselves. When you listen to this team, you remember before I was giving them crap because I didn't like their talk. It was all this isn't us, and you know, and I'm like, no, I don't want you to say that. I want to see it. I don't need to hear what you guys think you are, because and that it's different than what everybody's seeing. I want you guys to demonstrate it on the field. They're in an unenviable position because they always have mics and everybody's wanting them to say something. So I do understand that. But now when I hear them talk, like Zay Jones, like Rashawn Jenkins, which we didn't even mention this guy, man. 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 18 tackles.
18 tackles?
This guy has been playing good, man. All year he's been playing. Now, there's not this level, but...
Yeah, we have mentioned him on other podcasts of playing very well.
Yeah.
This game is just a spotlight on how good he has been throughout the year for us.
Between him and what appears to be an ascending Cisco, we've got a possibility of at least we've got something. And Campbell, Darius Williams played really well, decently well in this game. So there's some pieces in place to correct this defense. But in his interview today, it was like, man, he was back to like business. It's like, no, we got to turn around.
Oh, have you heard? I don't know. So I was, thumbing through YouTube, and I came upon a Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless sort of argument about this.
Yeah.
So Skip Bayless basically said that Michael Gallup disappeared, that Dallas took him out of the game plan because Jacksonville they don't have any good corners.
Yeah.
I want to join Twitter and get an account just so I can tweet him to tell him Campbell's like Chick-fil-A. He's closed on Sunday.
Well,
because I think Campbell is this far from being a legitimate shutdown, don't throw on my side of the field guy. And he's probably this far from the rest of America noticing it.
Yeah.
Dude's good. He took Gallup out of the equation. They didn't throw to Gallup because our best corner, who's a damn good corner, was on him. So since we're giving props.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Like, this is a good point. And maybe it's my feed. I was seeing some praise heaped toward Jacksonville a little bit, but it was hard not to notice that it was more about how the Cowboys lost as opposed to how the Jags won.
Dude, that is the Cowboy effect.
Yeah. Well, Bayless is a Cowboy fan, and so he epitomizes that arrogance. That it's and I say that for this reason. Everybody does it, right? So the idea, like, how did we lose? We're Jag fans, so that would be our perspective. But there's a couple things. First of all, Bayless is attempting to be a media guy for everybody. So the idea that you just focus that direction is unwarranted bias that you shouldn't have as a media person. But let's say he's in the mode and he's just accepting it for the purposes of that. The fact that you say something that, like what he said, which is, and I didn't hear the quote, I'm going by what you said, that they don't have good corners in Jacksonville. It's like, wait a minute. Not only are you showing bias, but you're showing ignorance. So your bias is causing you to not even know. Like, you knew that you were playing the Jags. So you're actually a professional broadcaster, media person, and you haven't done research into the Jags. You don't realize that Tyson Campbell has been, for one, he was practically a first round draft pick, close to it, and was a prospect considered in first round drafts, and he's played well here. So the idea that you would not consider or not know or say something like that, to me, that's just, the media being the media, and Cowboy effect, like you said, but
Yep.
it's also just the media. They're just, they're no different than we are.
Yeah, and in case you guys don't know, here's the Cowboy effect. Nobody beats the Cowboys. The Cowboys lose. That's the Cowboy effect. They have excuse after excuse as to why they lost, not that they went up against a better team on Sunday.
Well, in fairness to them, though, they're sort of they always trip going up. They always have this idea. They have a little bit of a of their own persona and reputation, just like the Jags. Whereas we're on the lower end where we can't even get the running start. They actually sometimes do. They just always trip over themselves before they get to the finish line in some weird way. And I don't think we discussed this yet, but it does deserve to be spoken about. That third down call, when Trevor fumbled, it was like, what, 1 minute, 27 seconds or something? 1 minute and some change,
153.
right?
153.
Was it that much?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
like
maybe
153.
Okay. But regardless, when you look, you run the ball. I know it was 3rd and 10, but you run the ball there. Like, don't throw the ball.
But why is that not Cowboy arrogance?
It could be, but the point I'm talking about from the fan perspective.
I agree. You run to make us use that last time out.
But this is why the Cowboys fans feel the way they feel. They're going to latch onto that moment and not think about all the other moments where the Jags won, when the Jags did things to make all these things happen for themselves. They're going to say, oh, we would have won if not for so-and-so, which, in fairness, is probably true.
No, bullshit. We would have won had Trevor not fumbled.
No, I know. You can always go back and forth with that.
Yeah, which is why you can't say that.
But I find myself saying that too. That's what I'm saying. It's like, the point is Bayless shouldn't be saying stuff like that because he's,
Because he should know better. But he doesn't.
The saying that we got no corners is the biggest part. It means you're so biased. Not just biased, you're lazy. And you're getting paid like a professional to do a job, and you're not doing your job. That's basically my issue. Like, if I was getting paid, I'd know these guys, I don't get paid for this, So that's what, it's almost like a professional frustration I have with the media, where it's like, man, the least you can do is know stuff. That's literally your job. So that's the problem that I have, and it's people think so little of the Jags that they don't, and that may be the other aspect. People don't care about the Jags,
Yeah.
So, which I understand, but when you add that with the Cowboy effect, that's a bad combination. And it also means Cowboys fans are really hating it right now. They got to be like, we lost to the Jags, and it's like,
they can't.
These are different Jags now.
They don't have much to say.
I think everybody's discovering this is not the same old Jags. This is a different Jags.
Well, that's what I'm starting to hear.
Yeah.
So anyway, we take these not the same old Jags up to New Jersey. What do you think, man?
Well, like I said, I spoke to it a bit ago, and I don't think I can think too much differently about it. I expect a really nasty, grinded out type of game. It will get interesting if we can score, man. I tell you what, like we will score, but like if we can get out early, which we haven't been able to do, I would love to see that because that will change the complexion of the game. Really, that would you could see us dominate that game because, like you said, the Jets have a good defense, but so did the Cowboys. Don't take anything away. What we should come away with from yesterday is the Jags offense is really good. Really good. If we don't make mistakes, if ETN isn't going to fumble, if Trevor isn't going to fumble, and by the way, that fumble, that was like, I see what Trevor was doing, man. That was
Yeah, I don't hate him.
It wasn't like ETN's where he just runs into somebody and it falls out.
He wanted to make sure he was going to pick up the first down.
Yeah, he was making a spin. So close, So I get that.
I have no problem with Trevor on that play. Keep doing it, Trevor. Keep doing it.
Yeah, keep playing hard like that.
Do you know his first name is William?
Who?
Trevor.
No,
William Trevor
really.
Lawrence.
So he goes by his middle name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 3 first names, man. That's a little weird.
Well, I don't know. He's my quarterback now. I'm not going to talk bad about him at all.
See? Yeah, you were like, no, I ain't taking that. No, he's my quarterback. There we go.
I locked it in, man. It's like, nope. Yep. He's my man now. I'm rolling with him. And I think that's what everybody's doing, right? That's the thing that we're getting, this idea about, what you're feeling from the locker room is that this energy, and it doesn't really matter, I don't think. First of all, that energy will keep them calm. If things go there against them, they're not shaky. They're not going to self-implode. And I think what we take from this game is, man, this is fun. It's fun to be a Jag fan. When's the last time we were able to say that? 17? And then before that, it was like a giant gap. It's like, man.
The last time I can honestly say it was really, really fun to be a Jags fan was 2017 when we beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. That's the last time I could or 2017 when we opened against the Texans and we had like 9 sacks.
Yeah.
That was fun too. So
yeah,
let's hope these good moments are here to stay. Woo!
Well, the arrow's pointing up, that's for sure. And so let's have fun. Let's enjoy the ride. And my thought is going into this, man, we're playing with house money at this point. They checked the boxes that I needed to see. I wanted Trevor to start to look like the ascending franchise quarterback. Check. I wanted us to be talked about as in the conversation for winning the AFC South. We have a shot to win the AFC South, so we're rooting that on. Even if it doesn't happen, I'm still going to feel really good about it. And so at this point, man, let's just go into New York. Let's take care of business and let's see what happens. And that's what I think.
New Jersey, sir.
I think the locker room.
It is New Jersey. It is not New York.
Let's go up north, take care of business. I don't care where they play. Drop them in there and take care of business. I'm sure that's the way the Jags are thinking. It's like
right, parachute them in.
Next game.
Couple of M4s.
Yeah.
Who wants some?
Did you hear the Titans are not exactly exuding confidence in their locker room?
No, I did not hear any of that.
Paul Kaharski put out a tweet basically saying that he went around the locker room and he told some of the Titans, he had to educate some of the Titans fans, you guys realize y'all are just one game, the Jags are just one game away from you. And it sounded like overall it wasn't a lot of confidence being brewed. More like
well, you have to be careful with that because they don't want to give us fire.
Huh?
Like you're talking about he went around the locker room and asking players that, hey, do you know the Jaguars are just one game behind you?
Yeah.
What are you going to say as a player? Are you going to say, so what? They suck, and give them billboard material? So you probably just say, okay, and then move on.
It was his general feel. He didn't quote anybody. It was a general feel he came away with, that they're not exactly. And in fairness to them, that makes sense right now. They're reeling a little bit, and so their back's against the wall. They're kind of like a wounded animal to a certain extent, which will make it all the tougher, if we get to that point to deal with those guys. So, but anyway, it's a fun time to be a Jag fan, and I think
good time to be a Jag fan.
So,
woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us on our journey of it's fun to be a Jags fan right now. So if you did not watch the game, go back and watch it. It's a hell of a game.
Duval!
Duval! There we go. All right, bye, guys.